This video is on section 1.7. It goes along with homework number 9 on transformations. In this lesson, there are 5 basic graphs that we need to learn the shape and the equation that it goes along with. You won't be doing a lot of technical graphing, but you need to be able to recognize these shapes. When you have y equal an absolute value, that's going to be a V shape. Y equal x squared is a parabola. Y equal x cubed, that's this curvy S-looking shape. Y equal square root of x is half of a sideways parabola. And y equal 1 over x is the only shape that's in 2 parts. Now, what we're going to do is take these basic graphs and shift them. You'll see that this is going to be the same graph. It's just going to be placed in different locations on your axis. All of these graphs have a vertex at 0, 0, and you're going to see that change. We're just going to go in and see now if we can see this work. All of these graphs are pointed upward. If there were a negative in front of any of these x's, then they would shift downward, and you'll see some of that. Most of ours will have a 1 in front of the x, which is standard. If we have a few that has something other than a 1, we'll see that it's going to either make the curve fatter or slimmer. It'll open or shut it. Let's look at problem 1. If you look across, all of these are V-shaped. So they're all going to have an absolute value. Now what we want to do right now is to learn how to take this graph and write an equation for it. The first thing you need to do is to find the vertex. That's this point where decrease changes to increase. Here's the point. It's a minimum point, and it's 0, negative 3. Now what we've got to learn is how to put that into the equation. Remember, we said it is a V shape, so it's absolute value. It opens up, so there's a plus sign out front. Now we're going to take this 0, which is x value, and put it in with the x. We're going to take the negative 3, which is y, and put it outside. Now that equation is going to be absolute value of x minus 3. If you'll look at the graph, this graph has been shifted down 3 units from the master graph. The second one, the vertex is 2, negative 3. That's this point. Now if we write an absolute value graph, that's going to be x. Now here's something very important. If you take this plus 2, anytime you put a number in or out of a grouping, the sign's going to change. So the plus 2 goes into x as negative 2. The negative 3y goes on the end as it is. This graph has been shifted right to, remember, opposite of that, and down 3 units. This graph is opening downward, so you're going to see y equal negative absolute value of x. The vertex is negative 3, 0. Now negative 3 is going to go into this equation as positive 3, and we have 0 on the end. This graph has been shifted opposite that, so left 3 units. This graph is V-shaped, turned down, so y equal negative absolute value of x. The vertex is 1, 4. Now I'm going to take the plus 1, put it in x. It becomes negative 1, plus 4 goes on the end. This graph turns down. It has shifted 1 unit to the right, 4 units up. In problem 2, you see all of these are parabolas. These are x squared graphs. The vertex of this first one is 0, 2. So this will be y equal x squared. Now there's no number added to x. That's 0. This y number will be a plus 2 on the end. This graph has shifted up 2 units. The vertex on 2v is negative 3, negative 2. Again, this is going to be a parabola. That's x squared. Negative 3 for x goes in as opposite, plus 3. Negative 2 for y on the end. This graph has shifted left 3 and down 2. Parabola C. The vertex is 3, 0. It has turned down. Our parabola will be y equal negative x, and the plus 3 becomes negative 3 squared with a 0 on the end. This graph turns down and has shifted 3 units to the right. Again, D, this graph has turned down, so it's y equal negative. The vertex is 0, negative 1, so we'll have x squared, no x, and negative 1 on the end. Now, if you'll notice, every one of these graphs, when you begin sketching them, from the vertex you go over 1 and up 1. From the vertex you go over 1 and up 1 to find yourself a point. Okay, this is our x cubed graph. Find this vertex. This is where the change, the curve begins to change right here. It's this point we have marked. That is 1, 1. Now remember, this is y equal x minus 1 cubed plus 1. Remember, the x changes signs. I'm sorry. That I was looking at another graph. That vertex is 0 for x, so this is going to be 0. So that will be y equal x cubed plus 1. This graph has shifted up 1 unit. In the B, if we check for the vertex, we are at 3, 0. So we'll have y equal x minus 3 squared plus 0. The graph has shifted right 3 units. Now, if you'll notice, this graph was increasing, the first one. This graph was increasing. Suddenly this graph decreases. So now it's going to be y equal negative. The vertex is at 0, 0. So we have negative x cubed. Alright, this graph, our point is negative 1, negative 2. It is increasing, so it will have a positive. It'll be x plus 1 cubed minus 2. It's moved left 1 and down 2. Notice that it is increasing. This graph is half a sideways parabola, so it's a square root graph. The vertex is negative 3, 0, so we'll have y equal square root of x plus 3. It's shifted 3 units to the left. Vertex here is negative 3, 0, but you notice it's turned down. So y equal negative square root of x plus 3. Vertex here, 1, negative 3. Y equals square root of x. Change the sign, minus 1, and on the end we're going to put minus 3 for y. This graph is turned down, so we'll have y equal negative. The vertex is 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 4, up 2. So square root of x plus 4 with a plus 2 on the end. The last graph, that's your split graph. The vertex, if you'll notice, go over to where your new axes are, is 2, 0. So this will be y equal, now it's normally 1 over x. Now this is my x, so that'll be x minus 2. Go to this new vertex, that's going to be 0, 2, that's x and y. So my equation will be y equal 1 over x plus 2. You notice the y doesn't change signs. This one is in the very, it's located at 0, 0, but if you'll notice, the graph is in different axes. This is where this is y equal negative 1 over x. And finally, we have a negative 1, 3 new axis. So we'll have y equal 1 over x plus 1 plus 3.